233 days. That's how long I've been deprived, how long we've been deprived of college football. But tomorrow night, it returns. I'm back. College football is back. Wow. I'm Nick Butts, live from Bluffton, South Carolina. This is Butts Talk. Let's get started. College football makes its return, finally. I am so excited. I'm exhilarated. This is going to be fun. Tomorrow night, I've been waiting for this game. I've been anticipating this game. Number 2, Ohio State in Indiana. And I'm going to talk about this one for a minute. 8 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow night is really the big kickoff to the season. Ohio State, number 2 in the preseason poll. Most people think that they will actually end up in the playoff and could win the national championship. I don't agree so much on that. They're favored by 20.5 tomorrow, so 21 points pretty much. I've actually talked to a few people who think Indiana could pull off the upset in that game. But I was reading this stat. Ohio State has won 21 consecutive games against Indiana. All time, Ohio State leads that series 72 wins to 12 with 5 ties. 72, 12, and 5. However, keep in mind, last time these two played at Indiana and Bloomington in 2015, the Buckeyes narrowly escaped with a 34-27 win. Indiana gave them quite a scare. Now, Ohio State does have Kevin Wilson, former Indiana coach from last year and a few years before. He is now Ohio State's offensive coordinator. So I think that really gives the Buckeyes a big advantage in a lot of ways, because Kevin Wilson knows Indiana. He recruited a lot of those players on the Indiana team. I think Ohio State will they'll win the game. I think Mike Weber, running back for Ohio State, will have a big night, possibly 200 yards rushing. J.T. Barrett won't play spectacularly, but he'll do okay. He'll do good enough. Indiana will give them a little bit of trouble in the first half, but I think Ohio State will own the second half. And they win by 10 points, 34-24. So I wanted to start off the episode tonight by talking about that game, since it's kind of the kickoff to the whole season. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just focus on the big games week by week. So this week I have Michigan, Florida, Florida State, Alabama, BYU, LSU, and Virginia Tech and West Virginia are my biggest games. And then at the end, I'll give you who I think will win the Heisman Trophy, who I think will make the playoff, and my national champion as of right now. And those are subject to change every week. So, let's go. Number 11, Michigan. Number 17, Florida. That game Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time on ABC. Game being played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. Michigan favored by 5.5 points. The biggest storyline heading into this game is obviously Florida has 10 players suspended, including star receiver Antonio Callaway. However, Felipe Franks was just named to start at quarterback for the Gators on Saturday, which is huge. He got the job over veteran QB Luke Del Rio and Notre Dame transfer Malik Zaire. Michigan has not announced a starting quarterback, but I believe it will be last year's starter, Wilton Spate. John O'Corn, the backup, may, however, get some time. I truthfully do not see any way that Florida can win this game. The loss of 10 players can just kill a team's vibe, and Michigan, a lot of people are sleeping on Michigan this year. I think they'll actually be pretty solid. They won't perform as well as they did last year with a 9-0 start, but I think that they still might come out with the same 10-3, 9-3 type result. I have Michigan winning this game big, 42-13. So obviously they cover that spread of 5.5 points by a lot. I don't think Florida still will be able to get anything done on offense. I think Michigan, they're, from what I've seen in the past few years, have been a better coached, better disciplined team. Michigan, last time these two met, Michigan killed Florida. So I think that Michigan has a huge advantage, especially with the players suspended for Florida. So I've got them winning 42-13. Next, number 3 Florida State, number 1 Alabama, the big one. People are calling it the greatest opener of all time. And it's the greatest opener in my lifetime, definitely. And I guess if you look at the rankings, the next best with the AP rankings are 2 1-4 matchups, not 1-3. So I guess this technically is the GOAT opener. 8 p.m. on ABC, Alabama is favored by 7 even. I think what most people are looking forward to is the coaching matchup. 2 modern-day college football legends, Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, both of which have just dominated the college football world with recruiting and wins, etc. Nick Saban has just he is the king of college football, truly. And I think that, Jimbo Fisher will give his team a good run in this game. I'm looking forward to seeing for Alabama Jalen Hurts and Bo Scarborough, quarterback running back duo. Jalen Hurts will probably, and I say probably, but he will he'll have a fantastic game, rushing and passing. He is truly unstoppable. I have him as one of my top Heisman candidates this year. I think Jalen Hurts will have a huge game. I think Bo Scarborough will have a huge game as well. On the other side, you have DeAndre Francois for Florida State, their quarterback. But you also, with the loss of Dalvin Cook, I believe it'll be Cam Akers now, Florida State running back. He'll step up, and I think he'll make a few big plays, maybe rush for over 100 yards this game. However, I don't think Florida State will be able to hang with Alabama. Everyone's all caught up in that typical FSU hype. They're ranked highly to start the season. I'm not buying it. I didn't buy it last year at all. I was right. So therefore, I'm not buying it this year. I don't think they'll beat Alabama. I don't think they'll come close, quite frankly. I have a hard time believing that they'll even beat NC State. And I definitely don't think they'll beat Clemson later on in the season. I think the Tide, Alabama rolls in this game. My score, 49-27. Tide win big. Next up, BYU and LSU. 9:30 on ESPN. That game, unfortunately, had to be relocated to New Orleans due to the flood damage of Hurricane Harvey, originally scheduled to be played in Houston. 9:30 on ESPN. LSU favored by 16 points. I really have not much to say about this game. BYU did play last week, however. They beat Portland State 20-6 at home. A very subpar performance, very unimpressive. I thought BYU was going to be a better team than that. They did not show really anything against Portland State. They only beat them 20-6, like I said. I think for LSU, though, Coach O, he'll look good in this game. I think LSU is really going to turn around this year. They're really going to have a good year. I can see them winning 10, 11 games, possibly beating Alabama. And also, LSU has what no one else in the country has. They have Darius frickin' Geis, who is a complete beast running back, ladies and gentlemen. Darius Geis will rush for over 200 yards, possibly 300 yards this game against the BYU defense. LSU wins this game huge. I have them winning 55-10. 55-10 LSU over BYU. Next up, Sunday night, 7:30 on ABC. It's number 21 Virginia Tech, number 22 West Virginia. The game is in Landover, Maryland, just outside of our nation's capital at the Washington Redskins Stadium, FedEx Field. Virginia Tech is favored by 4 points even. However, I do not have Virginia Tech winning this game. I like West Virginia a lot. I like their team a lot this year. I think Will Grier, the Florida transfer, he'll come in. I think he'll earn the trust of the fans and the team. Huge night passing, couple hundred yards, I'd say. It'll be a good game, but West Virginia will eventually pull away in the fourth quarter, and I believe they'll win the game 38-27. So those are my score predictions for this week on my biggest games this week. Now here, as I close out the show, I'll talk about who I think will win the Heisman and who I think will make the playoff. Like I said, based on the players' performance throughout the season for the Heisman, I will, most likely change my pick. So it could be, player A this week, or it could be player X next week. So you never know. However, going into the season, based on what he did last year and based on what I think he's going to do this year, I think Saquon Barkley will bring that Heisman Trophy back to Penn State. I like him a lot. I think he is the most efficient back in the nation. I actually believe him to be the best player in the nation this season, 2017 season. I think Saquon, he just goes crazy this year. No defense will be able to stop him. My playoff picks preseason in no particular order. Alabama will go undefeated, win the SEC. Oklahoma State will win the Big 12 at 12-1. Clemson will win the ACC at 12-1. Stanford will win the Pac-12 at 12-1. Those are my four playoff teams. My national champion is none other than the Alabama Crimson Tide. Well, I thank you to everyone who's listening. Listen tonight. This is Butts Talk. I'm Nick Butts. Good night.